You know, there's a phrase in the world of politics that basically, well, the bigger thing is either you resign in advance, of course, before you're caught out, and more importantly, you have something of a career to salvage. When you look back in the history books, for instance, the infamous Conservative MP John Perfumo, as we now know, lied in that scandal of the early 1960s. But he was able to resurrect himself all through charitable work. Insiders, though, at number 10 tell me this about our current Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves. As ever, let me explain. Morning, good to see you today. Thank you so much for your time. Lovely to have your company. It's a big thing, isn't it? You know, the very first female Chancellor of the Exchequer. That was something that Rachel was very keen to push time and time again the moment that she took office. And if you remember, of course, she kept saying this phrase all during the election campaign, that she had a fully costed plan. And according to the sources at 10 Downing Street, and this is where you have to say this would happen, she had full access into the months leading up to that particular arena of costings, because obviously she would need to know what she would be dealing with should, of course, that particular party then take office. So it became very strange, didn't it, to think, of course, that suddenly they had this massive black hole that she's reiterated many times. If you remember, once the last Labour Party government left, infamously, many of the big stalwarts of that party left a note saying there's nothing left, there's no money, and they put that note on the desk. The Conservatives clearly had a little bit more class. But now, as Rachel Reeves is struggling to try and find anybody that seemingly wants to do business with us by flying now, no doubt, first class, once more air miles, let's hope Ed Miliband is very zealously looking at exactly her carbon footprint. Well, apparently, according to sources, Rachel is looking at the inevitable. And as ever, we have to say allegedly. This is because, of course, the economy, well, as many people now famously said, well, she looks like she could be crashing our British economy. Things are not going the way that she perceived. And more importantly, there's always a fall guy. Now, at this stage, it's very early days, but according to that source, you know, Keir Starmer simply does not want to be the fall guy for the, well, shall we say, downfall of his own government. So far, the only minister that's quit was the flame-haired transport minister, Lou Haig. And apparently, you know, she didn't want to go, but apparently there was no other option. She had to. Fascinating stuff, I'm sure you'll agree. And then, of course, we've got the debacle with Tulip Siddiq, which is now hemorrhaging sort of headlines around the world, and we're not quite sure where that is. Apparently, Rachel's going to use the time out in China to reflect and decide exactly whether she feels she can deliver what she promised, or indeed will she be escaping first, ready no doubt to tell her story with a book deal, no doubt a documentary, as the very first female Chancellor of the Exchequer. Either way, it's a win for Rachel, and certainly enough money to keep warm, unlike so many people that she's deprived that particular privilege of this winter. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.